The following is a hockey podcast out of Vancouver and Surrey, British Columbia. It'll only consist of a lot of puck talk and even more BS, or in actual words, banter and satire. Enjoy, and as always, go Canucks go.
Does Matt Rempe have more goals than Elias Pettersson in 2025? Wait, who wrote the script? Okay, it's Matt Rempe taller than Marcus Pettersson. Okay, get your ish together.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome to another episode of Locked On Canucks. My name is Trevor Beggs, co-host of Locked On Canucks and also Canucks writer currently with Daily Hive Vancouver. Before we get into today's episode, we got to thank you for tuning into Locked On Canucks because it is your Canucks every damn day. And we're not here without you listening. And I'm not here without Kyle Bowen, man. Where would I be without Kyle Bowen? Where would the Canucks be without Pettersson and then another Pettersson? But really, it's just one Pettersson who's truly making an impact on this team right now. And I talked about it on the postcast last night. Go check that out if you haven't already, following a 3-2 win over the LA Kings. But there is one Pettersson who has stood up above the rest right now. And yeah, Elias Pettersson, we've talked about him ad nauseum. Elias Pettersson has looked good in limited minutes while showing rookie mistakes, but Marcus Pettersson truly looking like a true shutdown defenseman. So let's dive a bit deeper into Marcus Pettersson's impact with the Vancouver Canucks. We'll also get into some trade destinations for Brock Boeser. Where could he end up if he does, in fact, get traded from the Vancouver Canucks? We'll also dive into the game tonight and some of your comments as well. Before we do all that, let me introduce my co-host, Kyle. I don't know if were you drinking some glacier water last night? You're looking younger today, buddy. How you doing?
It is what it is, man. That's what happens, man. That's what happens, man. I don't got to get into details, though, baby. It is what it is, okay? Trevor Beggs, Kyle Bowen. Boom, bam. The Canucks won last night. Like I said, do the math, man. What happens when the Canucks win, Trevor? You know the deal. Again, it's PG-13. Let's keep it clean. The Canucks pick up a 3-2 victory in Los Angeles last night. And, yeah, a lot of emotions. Like, every Canucks game is, it's stressful. It really is. Especially when Brock Boeser and Elias Pettersson are, like, super quiet and borderline invisible and just picking up moral victories. But let's be honest, again, nothing's going on there. And again, that's why every single Canucks game is going to be stressful this point on. And Quinn Hughes, what does he do? He's playing at 90%, 80%. He still picks up a game-winning assist because he's a dog and nothing gets in the way. And yeah, the Canucks win. But I feel as if a lot of the games are going to look like that, Trevor. And if they're going to look like that, like super close one-goal games, we're only scoring 3, we're going to squeak into the playoffs and gain this playoff experience. It's going to be due in large part to Marcus Pettersson. I'm a believer, man. I'm a big believer, okay? And I'll be honest. Yeah. Well, sorry to cut you off from cutting me off. I wasn't like super impressed with Marcus post 4 Nations break on Saturday and Sunday. Like whatever, like nobody really looked that great. And I also was stressed out when we acquired him. Again, go listen to that episode. I was podcasting, parked at a gas station, like just stressed out, couldn't cope with myself. But all in all, for the like what he's done for that room, what he's done for Elias Pettersson, and again, what he did in that overtime shift was, in my opinion, Trevor, magical. And I think he's going to be consistent for a very long time. I'm liking the JT Miller trade more so because of Marcus Pettersson.
Yeah, and I think Marcus Pettersson through his first handful of games with the Vancouver Canucks, he's now played 7 games now. I mean, that's what stood out first and foremost is he is just a clean, boring, simple defensive player. Like when I watch Marcus Pettersson play, I think of Dan Hamhuis with Willie Mitchell's stick. Like that's kind of how he looks like out there for your Vancouver Canucks. I mean, it's some interesting stats about Marcus Pettersson. Like he's a guy that gets hit a ton. Like he is the most hit player in the National Hockey League, but it's a different form of toughness with Marcus Pettersson, the ability to take those checks, to bounce off them and to still get the puck up the ice cleanly. And it's something that the Canucks were pretty good at last season. And to be honest, they haven't been terrible at this year. Although there's been some stretches with the Desharnais, the Myers, the Soucies, we all know about that. But with Marcus Pettersson, you just have a really clean, simple defensive player who, Kyle, like you mentioned, stepped up in a huge moment on the penalty kill for the Vancouver Canucks in that game. And It's the emotions of being a Canucks fan. I think when Drew O'Connor took that penalty, you're thinking, Canucks lack, like the Kings are like, even though they have the second worst power play in the league, you're thinking, yeah, there's a 60% chance they score on this power play at 4-on-3. And it was really due to the heroics of Marcus Pettersson, clearing pucks from around the net, clearing guys from around the net. And much like he's done on the PK, since coming to the Vancouver Canucks. And we kind of get caught up in it just based on the fact that they haven't been a very good offensive team, and that kind of takes most of the headlines. But this has been a very good defensive team, and they've become even better defensively now that Marcus Pettersson is in the fold.
And Trevor, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Vancouver Canucks, for the majority of the season, there's still a lot of leg room here, but for the majority of the season, yeah, they've been mediocre. They've also lacked like such an identity. Like they don't have anything. That being said, Marcus Pettersson, ironically, being a Pettersson and whatnot, is a big part of where this team needs to go with their identity, or where they got to shift their focus. And yeah, we like the goals and whatnot, and we like all the pizzazz, and last year was last year, but you gotta deal with what you have, especially when you're trying to find some consistency and, again, some identity. And Marcus Pettersson, Filip Hronek, Quinn Hughes, like that's a lot of quality at the top half of your D unit. And it may be boring, but at least the Canucks, hopefully this season, because again, I really want them to make the playoffs, and maybe they can fine tune it together ASAP and become this defensive juggernaut. But again, I feel as if they're not that far away from being that. I know that's crazy because months ago we're like stressing out, and this team has the worst decor and whatnot. But talent pushes the needle. Talent does things. Talent, bursts the bubble in a good way. And Marcus Pettersson's a lot more talented than I assumed, and he actually reminds me a lot of Chris. I don't think he has like the offensive awareness, which is crazy to talk about Chris Tanev in that light. But in the defensive zone, like Chris Tanev is just so good at like with his head up and making a pass. Like he's better than Marcus Pettersson. But defensively, how active he is, and just that penalty killing shift, that was so, like, I guess minus the block shots, that was like Chris Tanev-esque when it comes to defensive prowess.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair comparison you make, Kyle. And, I think a point we got to make here too is Marcus Pettersson is like 6 years younger than Chris Tanev. And man, oh man, I mean, last year was a bit of an anomaly in terms of the Canucks defensive play, and it has gone a lot better under Rick Tocchet. But the Canucks have been missing a player like Chris Tanev ever since they let Chris Tanev go in the 2020 offseason. And again, just a steadying presence overall. And you want to look at some of the stats since Marcus Pettersson joined the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, they played 7 games. They're 4-2-1 in those games since Marcus Pettersson has joined the team. Their penalty kill, they've killed 17 of 18 penalties since Marcus Pettersson has joined the Vancouver Canucks. That's first in the NHL over that time span, killing 94.4% of penalties. And check out these stats too from Hamalytics via Natural Stat Trick. He posted this to Twitter. Marcus Pettersson's PK stats since joining the Canucks, minimum 10 PK minutes played. He's tied for first in goals against because he has not been on the ice for a PK goal against. He's first in expected goals against, which is fascinating considering the fact that he plays some pretty heavy numbers on the penalty kill as well. One of the best defensemen in terms of high danger chances against and just overall possession against as well. So, I mean, Marcus Pettersson, again, Hronek and Myers have had their moments. Like, look, the Canucks penalty kill was still about league average before Marcus Pettersson came. So you got to give some of the other guys some credit. I gave Teddy Bluger his flowers last night for how good he's been on the penalty kill. But Marcus Pettersson, I mean, I'm not quite sure if he's like Mike Rupp said, a top 5 defensive defenseman in the NHL, but he's up on that list, man. And you can see why so far with the Vancouver Canucks.
Again, a younger talent. Like, he's defensively sound, dude. He does his thing. Again, short sample size, I know, but a player that we so desperately needed. And Trevor, I'm going to throw it to you and scare you a bit with this question, but like, is he making you more content with the JT Miller trade? Like, more so than Hedl, which is surprising. But again, knowing that we kind of need to make the playoffs this year for, a lot of reasons, including experience and just impressing Quinn Hughes. Like, again, like, is he making it easier to stomach the JT Miller trade?
Well, like, the short answer is yes, Kyle. And, I talked about this a bit last night too on the post-game show, but I'm still not in love with the trade. I get that it had to happen, but
I heard you.
Trading away a player of Miller's caliber is a risk. And then you knew the Canucks were not going to sit on that draft pick, but it can become an unprotected pick next year. And the Rangers right now are in that territory of drafting the top 13 and giving Pittsburgh an unprotected first rounder next year. But again, for the Canucks window, it's, value matters, but this team does have to find a way to win with Quinn Hughes if they want to keep him here, if they want to avoid a complete teardown, which I don't think any of us have the stomach to see, especially after the Jim Benning era. So yeah, I would say, to answer your question, that I have felt better about the trade since watching Marcus Pettersson play, but it's kind of what I expected from him, to be honest. You expected him to come in here and be good defensively. Now, some of the numbers analytically in Pittsburgh this year weren't great, but he was playing on a very, very permissive team that isn't really playing structured hockey.
And Trevor, if you can click a couple buttons and find out how many minutes he played with a guy like Erik Karlsson, I don't know how much he did. Like, I don't know if like the handedness go hand in hand, and if there was any, again, a pair there. But just watching that guy play NHL games, not Four Nations games, like, dude, that guy is Erik Karlsson may be the worst defensive player in hockey.
Yeah, he's up there for sure. He didn't have a bad Four Nations. He made some nifty plays.
No, he was good.
He's not good defensively.
Yeah. So again, now when that trade did happen, and again, I parked over at a gas station, was with the homie Adrian, and I feel like I've only seen Adrian once or twice after that. I feel like he doesn't want to hang out with me anymore because of the raw emotion and now stupidity. I'll say I'm stupid. Hey, Frank Saravelli may not say he's stupid for calling, Marcus Pettersson trash. I'm paraphrasing, but he pretty much said that. And well, what's with the daily face-off, like having a Calgary Flames show that spends hours talking about the Vancouver Canucks? You know what I'm saying? Well, anyways, I'll say sorry to Marcus Pettersson. I don't know if Frank Saravelli is, but again, he's just a lot better than I thought he'd be this quickly with the Vancouver Canucks. I mean, you want to talk about all the noise and, again, not getting any production from Brock Besser and Elias Pettersson. That puts even more stress on the defense. And he hasn't gotten that once since he's been a member of the Vancouver Canucks. And again, all the noise and Quinn Hughes not in the lineup. Like, we needed this guy to help us stay afloat. Okay, what's the record with him in the lineup? It must be like 7-3-1 or 7-2, whatever it is. I don't know, but we needed that, Trevor, like desperately. You could argue that there's like he's been an MVP type player over the last 11 games for us.
Yeah. Sorry, I missed that quickly. Which player are you talking about?
Marcus Pettersson. I know it hasn't been 11 games, but I just feel like he's
so the Canucks are. I thought that's what you said. So just making sure. Yeah. So in 7 games, the Canucks are 4-2-1 with Marcus Pettersson in the lineup.
There you go.
They're only averaging 2 goals a game too, and they've managed to go 4-2-1, largely because since Marcus Pettersson's come to Vancouver, the Canucks are allowing a league low 1.71 goals per game. And I mean, this is truly a team that knows how to shut it down. They don't know how to shoot the puck or generate anything offensively, but they do know how to score goals right now. And
Trevor, man.
Or sorry, to prevent goals, I should say.
So I know I'm all over the place. I'm getting emotional right now. And like, there's so much ridicule over like the Canucks not being able to produce offense. And I completely get it, but come on, guys. They were like, it's been like this the whole season, but recent history and even just collective, like Quinn Hughes has missed 10 games and the whole Miller thing, blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, the Canucks suck at producing offense because they like Connor Garland and Philip Hedl are their only offensive play drivers. The Canucks suck at offense because Elias Pettersson sucks at offense. It's okay to say that. They go hand in hand. Yeah. It's crazy, man. Like if Draisaitl and McDavid weren't playing great, the Oilers would suck at offense.
Well, it's funny that you say that too, because right now I'm looking at the numbers throughout the month of February so far, and the Canucks again lead the league, allowing only 1.71 goals per game. They are top 10 in terms of high danger chances against, top 5 in terms of save percentage from their goalies at even strength. But look at the other end of the spectrum, the Edmonton Oilers so far in the month of February, allowing 4.43 goals per game. They're not generating much either right now. So again, at Edmonton, I'm not really paying too much attention to what's going on there, but interesting to see the contrast there.
It's only been a week, It's only been a week. I think I know you said, I don't know if you just brought up like all of February, but
all of February, yeah.
Yeah, so all of February they've been averaging 4 goals against.
4.43 goals against per game, yeah. And the GM just came out and said that they're not going to acquire a goalie anytime soon. So Canuck fans, if you want to dream, I think we all know this is a pretty middle of the pack team right now.
I like it.
Maybe there's a recipe here to get hot, at least win around in the playoffs with the goaltending, the defense that this team has. Now, Kyle, one of the big questions is whether or not Brock Besser will be a part of this Canucks team as they make the postseason. If they do decide to deal them, and we've talked about that quite a bit, you can give your take about that again on the other side. Maybe it's changed. I do have a list of 6 teams that should be interested in his services. So let's chat a bit about that on the other side. Before we do that, let's shout out one of the new sponsors on the shows. And I just sampled this product this morning, man. That's why I'm feeling crispy. Let's shout out our friends over at Trade Coffee. If you're like me, your mornings have to start with a good cup of coffee. Otherwise, I'm grumpy, man. I mean, I was grumpy last night because I didn't have my trade coffee before the post-game show, and I started taking shots at 57-year-olds. I want to say that we love all of our fans, no matter what age you are. But, with the coffee, I got tired of settling for grocery store brands that just weren't cutting it. That's what I turned to Trade. And let me tell you, this coffee is next level. It's like Marcus Pettersson's defensive game next level, baby. Come on. Trade is the #1 specialty coffee marketplace in the U.S. They do ship to Canada too, bringing you fresh coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Their experts have taste-tested thousands of coffees, curating over 450 amazing roasts. Whether you're new to coffee or know exactly what you like, they'll handpick the perfect match for you. You can even go to their website. I took their quiz, and in under a minute, they matched me with a roast that was fresh, smelled incredible, and tasted even better. I'm boasting about the roasting, baby. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our listeners of Locked On Canucks 40% off your first order at drinktrade.com/LockedOnNHL. That's drinktrade, TRAED.com/LockedOnNHL for 40% off your first order. drinktrade.com/LockedOnNHL.
People. We back doing this. Talking about the Vancouver Canucks. Hey, being Canadian. Oliver in the comments saying it's hard to talk about another coffee brand when we got roll up the rim back at Timmy's. Hey, do the research on Trade. Maybe they got roll up the rim too, okay? It is what it is, right? Canadians, sharing is caring. You never know. Just check out Trade. Also, Tim Hortons, man. Can we have an open Canadian conversation about this? I think they're owned by like a Brazilian American company. I don't know, but something happened because back in the day, the Tim Hortons that I knew, the Tim Hortons that my family grew up on, right? The Tim Hortons that, look like, you know what I'm saying? Like I am Tim Hortons back in 2009, 2010. Yo, the food used to slap, but now it kind of tastes like gas station food. And maybe I'm hating, but the coffee just makes you go to the washroom too.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like I have a pretty low bar in terms of food. Maybe that's just me, but I know what you mean. The food was much better at Tim Hortons, like before Burger King bought them out. And that's what happens when America starts to infiltrate Canada. Everything starts to turn to shit. One love to our American listeners, though. Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. Speaking of Americans, Brock Besser, he's a good old American boy, but will he remain with the Vancouver Canucks or will he go to an American team? And Kyle, I want to touch on this because I wrote about this recently for Daily Hive. We touched on it a bit before as well. Which teams are most likely to acquire Brock Besser? Brock Besser, if the Canucks do deal him. So I'm curious, where's your head on this right now? I mean, Brock Besser has struggled recently. I'm still of the mind that if they can get this guy maybe at like 5-6 years, $7 million, this is probably something that makes sense for the Canucks because of the fact that the playoffs matter this season, because of the fact that he's kind of close to Quinn HUGHES, but I am intrigued by a potential trade as well and how this could set up the Canucks for the future. But where's your head at on Brock Besser right now before I get into some of the teams that could acquire him?
Damn, bro. I feel like we're going to lose all our audience based on what I'm about to say because we just won. We have a game tonight. We're supposed to be positive. But at the end of the day, I'm more disappointed in Brock Besser than I am Elias Pettersson. Post break. No, for real. Don't these games matter? Like, don't they matter? You're in a playoff fight. These games should feel like playoff games. There should be way more brought to the table. And he looks slower than ever. Again, I know those first games back off of a break, and like, dude, we're human beings. Like, dude, when we go on vacation, we come back to work. Dude, when we go away for the weekend, we come back to work. We suck. Me and you are not elite at anything, okay? So it's gonna take us to a bit of time to round back into form. I get that. I'm just Kyle Bowden. That's just Trevor Beggs. That's the truth. But man, this is like what, your 8th or 9th year with the Vancouver Canucks. There's been so much turmoil. You've been given an A. You want to be here. Quinn Hughes is playing hurt, playing injured, and I feel as if, again, he should have made sure that, I know hockey's not everything, but for the team's sake and maybe his UFA case or whatnot, or maybe he just believes he's getting paid regardless. Like, he should have came back from that All-Star break guns blazing. Because, again, the team needs him. So, again, I'm disappointed in Brock Boeser.
Yeah, and I think right now you can make the argument either way for trading him or keeping him. I think, look, goal scores are hard to come by. He's been a consistent top 6 player, but he's just a player that comes with flaws, and he's a slow guy in a game that's becoming quicker and quicker by the years. So, I'm honestly open to the argument either way. But if you do trade him, you do want to get fair value for him. So let's rip through some of the teams and see if we can kind of gauge what the returns might be. But for me, Kyle, there's 2 teams in the Western Conference who I think are probably the most likely suitors for his services. I've mentioned this before. Everydayers would know. But to me, it's the Minnesota Wild and the LA Kings. And, the Minnesota Wild, everyone wants to tie that one together, but it actually does make sense for them, right? They are one of the lowest scoring teams. They're second last in goals scored per game among current playoff teams. Last place would be the Vancouver Canucks or the Calgary Flames. They've been flip-flopping back and forth. But Minnesota just doesn't score enough. And, Kirill Kaprizov has missed some time with injury as well. And, I think the argument's the same for both Minnesota and LA. It's like you got 2 fairly low-scoring teams who, especially on LA side, I think are desperate to try to make a push to get past the first round and get out of the mushy middle. And I think Brock Boeser is a player that can make sense for both teams. Now, in terms of potential returns, Minnesota has a really good prospect pool. It's considered probably the second best prospect pool in the NHL. So I think they got a lot of pieces to make this work. And I think this is a situation too where, maybe they got a lot of players with no move, no trade clauses. Maybe it's even a situation where maybe they pay a bit of a sweetener to get Brock in the door, knowing that they can probably sign him long-term to that 8th year if they want to give it to him. They got the assets to make the deal.
Sorry, you're just lagging a bit for me. We apologize here on Locked On Canucks, but that's important because they could lower down the AAV, right? If they give them that 8th year.
Yeah.
And with the cap going up, like you can get that number to like a really, really sexy number. Minnesota's obviously always going to be connected to Brock. Let's not forget, it wasn't that long ago where we wanted Matt Dumba for Brock Boeser. Well, I'm not one of those people, but
no, not yet. We were not one of those people, but it was a rumor.
Yeah. How about this one? And I don't know if this is on your list, but how about Winnipeg?
I did not have Winnipeg on the list, to be honest with you. Winnipeg to me is like, they're still one of the highest scoring teams in the NHL. They got a great defense, a great goaltender. I'm not sure, and they're pretty much capped out. Like, I'm not sure what assets they would pay to get Brock Boeser. Like, would they trade a Perfetti for Boeser? Like, I don't think so.
No.
But you got to sign him long term, right? And they already got a UFA on their roster, Nick Ehlers, who they're probably keeping as their own rental. Like, I don't think they need another rental.
Yeah, but I wonder how much. Like, what's Brock's value? Like, what is it? Is it like a first round pick and a prospect? That's what it is, right?
Yeah, I think it's a first and a prospect, or a first and like a lower tier roster player. Like, I'll tell you, for instance, one of the teams I had on this list was the Detroit Red Wings. And again, 8 seasons where they've missed the playoffs. They're in right now. They don't score a lot of goals. They got a couple guys at right wing and Patrick Kane, Vlad Tarasenko, who one's a UFA, one's underperforming. And with the Red Wings, maybe it's something like a first and Michael Rasmussen, right? Michael Rasmussen has kind of fallen down the depth chart there. He's a Surrey boy. No, he's a BC buddy. He's a Surrey boy, 6'6".
I like that.
I think he's a player that the Canucks would like to have in their bottom 6. So I do wonder if like a Boeser for a first and Rasmussen can make some sense for both sides.
There you go. That could be something.
Yeah. Okay. So that was 3 of the teams.
That could be something. That could be something. But that you have 3 more teams to offer, say on this.
Yeah. I was just to go say for more details, go check it out on Daily Hive. But I'll spill the beans here for the Locked On listeners. But so I had LA, Minnesota, and Detroit. The last 3 teams on the list: the Ottawa Senators, the BJs, and the Florida Panthers. With Ottawa, obviously, Travis Green's there. They're actually averaging fewer goals per game than the Red Wings. They need more goals in their lineup.
They just lost 5 straight.
They've just lost 5 straight. Exactly. Like, they probably need a bit of a boost. And it's probably something similar, like a first and a prospect. Although I do wonder if there's any chance there's like a Boeser for Norris type of deal. I think the Canucks would probably have to add a bit. But Kyle, would you have any interest in that? Norris obviously signed long term, almost $8 million a season, plays center. He's injured often, but he can score, and he is one of Quinn Hughes' best friends.
So what? Like Ottawa just wants to get rid of his cap and doesn't want to continue to play him like $8
I'm
million.
theorizing here. I'm not sure if Ottawa would do it.
Yeah.
I'm just theorizing here. Like from your perspective, are you intrigued if it's like Besser plus like a mid-round pick or something for Josh Norris?
If my math is correct, Josh Norris is getting paid close to like $8 million a year.
Yeah, it's like 7.985, I think.
And he played 50 games last year and had 30 points. He has 50 games played this year and has 31 points. His career high is 55. He missed the majority of 22-23 with an injury. So, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That's, again, I mean, that's in the ballpark of what type of trade the Canucks kind of, I wouldn't say need to make, but like a swing, a swing to get better down the middle. And it could happen. And I guess you just have to ask yourself, would you rather have Brock for 6 or 7 more years or Josh Norris? Because I guess I just don't know what Josh Norris is. Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of film, we have to get the boys on.
Yeah, great shot. I think his speed's pretty good, but the injuries have been a concern for him for sure.
But,
He's been missing time recently.
But hey, how about this, right? You bring Josh Norris home and you keep Quinn, he's happy.
Yeah,
better with our friends. We're better with our friends. Who we shouting out before we read a bunch of these comments, Trevor?
Yeah, sounds good. So I will say one of my last notes there on this. I mean, Florida Panthers, we talked about, like they don't have a lot of assets, but with Matthew Tkachuk out long term, they can make some sense. And the Columbus Blue Jackets are interesting because they've been linked to Besser already. And of all the teams I've listed, they have a ton of cap space and they got a lot of assets to make this deal. So if the Blue Jackets truly were interested, of all the teams here, they could make the best offer for Brock Besser. All right. That was the trade candidates for Brock Besser. Hit us up in the comments. What if we're going to trade Brock Besser? What kind of deal do you want to see go down? On the other side, we'll get to some of your comments and get to a little bit of a game day preview and a little update on Tyler Myers as well. You're listening to Locked On Canucks, your Canucks every damn day. We'll be back on the other side after shouting at our friends over at FanDuel. When the game tips off, when the puck hits the ice and the action's getting started, there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game, so even if you miss the opening puck drop or want to bet on a third period comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. And today against the Anaheim Ducks, I mean, this is saying something about the Anaheim Ducks, but the Canucks on the second night of back-to-backs, despite the fact that they have averaged 2 goals per game over the month of February. It feels like they've scored 8 goals this month, with 2 of them by Jake DeBrusk. They are still favorites tonight, even though they're expected to start Archer Shilovs as well. Anaheim Ducks plus 110, Canucks minus 132 on the money line. If you somehow believe the Canucks can win by 2 goals, that's a nice payout of plus 190 on the puck line there as well. So whether you bet on the Canucks, the Ducks, or anything else, make sure you go make the bet on FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today.
People, we back doing this, and that's talking about your Vancouver Canucks. My name is Kyle Ballin. That right there is Trevor Beggs. The Canucks play the Ducks tonight. Must-win game again. The Calgary Flames, I believe, are playing Tampa Bay. Dude, please, Tampa. Please. I'm losing hair. I want to be more of a lover boy to my girl. And I can't stand the stress, man. Again, I'm not the same when the Canucks lose. When I lose, she loses, Trevor. And that's not fair.
But at least she won last night, man. Let's go.
Whoa. Hey.
I'm proud of you, brother. I don't know if you're listening to the post-game show last night, but I basically told everyone who was listening to the show to start breeding because Connor Garland with that new dad energy is looking. He's looking fantastic out there, man. So that's the key. You just gotta start.
Well, has he looked fantastic ever since being like a new dad? Like I feel like he's been struggling a lot more to be honest. I feel like he might get
man, but he was on the road. Okay, maybe he doesn't take care of the newborn, but man, he showed up for young Quinn tonight, man. Or last night.
In other words, you think that he's gonna like come up huge tonight in Anaheim, which we kind of need. Again, we need I feel like it's Hedl and it's Garland and it's nobody else on offense. Can we agree on that? Like everyone else is kind of just like I guess Kiefer Sherwood too, like trying to make something happen, but it's those three and just I wouldn't say bystanders, but a bunch of other players, man, or just in and around the net trying to bang one in. I don't get it back to the point, but man, oh man, like Garland is so important on this team, and that's like saying a lot considering that was his first game with the goal in like 6 or something. And again,
Yeah, it's pointless in 5 before last night.
I feel like he might have like 10 points in his last 30 games, if I'm wrong or something. Real talk, like check the stats on that. Like, what crazy times, but man, tonight must win. What's gonna happen, Trevor? Can we see it, Elias Pettersson? Can we just see something? Can we see something?
Well, Elias Pettersson, if you want to look for positivity, like we had the stat a couple weeks ago, and he hasn't scored since, but he has 2 goals against playoff teams this season, and it's Calgary and Edmonton are the 2 playoff teams he scored against. Now I guess he has goals against 1 playoff team because the Calgary Flames are currently not in a playoff spot. Wow. So he does tend to score his goals against non-playoff teams, and he scored a couple against San Jose, he scored against Chicago. He might have even scored against Anaheim, if I'm not mistaken, but if Pettersson's going to score, tonight's the night, man, against the Anaheim Ducks, a non-playoff team.
Please do it, man. Make our lives easier and just alleviate some stress, man. Like, can we just like leave Quinn Hughes alone for a bit, man? This guy's like, yeah, let's. This guy forced his way into the lineup yesterday. It was so confusing. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? After warm up, he goes straight into the room. I guarantee he held I'm not going to say a gun to Rick Tocchet's head, but he's like, yo, let me play tonight. I need to play tonight, and he did. And like he was only expected to play 14 to 15 to 16 minutes, and he had to play 22 almost, including being a huge part of the game winner. Like, can somebody else do something to help us out? Please. Another guy that might have a good game, and people are talking about him in the comments, Höglander. Okay, Atomic Adam Spitting Science is saying Niels Höglander, at least he's trying. Yeah, he's been good for a little bit here. I want to see more confidence with the puck like we saw yesterday. Like, again, we need all the help we can get. In other words, we need Höglander to be better than Pettersson, right?
It's doable, man. That's definitely doable. I do want to make again a couple notes, couple comments before we get out of here. Tyler Myers, update on him quickly. Apparently, Tyler Myers is okay, according to Thomas Drance. Big red welts in his neck because the shot he blocked hit a nerve and made him dizzy, but doesn't look like it's a broken collarbone. He might even be an option to play tonight against the Anaheim Ducks. So Tyler Myers, man, he's tougher than you and me combined, man. Definitely, his cojones are as big as his neck, I hear. So yeah, one love to Tyler Myers. Happy to hear that he's not injured long term.
What a sport. Just blocking a shot with your collarbone, neck. And again, that's why the kill was so impressive. Like, it was an emotional time, right? Like, we just blew a 2-goal lead, and then Myers gets, like, again, almost amputated with the puck. Like, his head almost fell off, for real. That's what I thought was going to happen. He was in pain. I thought it actually happened. I had to put my glasses on. But again, afterwards, just such an impressive kill by Forbert and Pettersson and company, and the other Pettersson. Okay, let's keep it real. How about that too? Like, all overtime, no Pettersson, not one shift. I thought this guy's a Selke winner. We need must kill. Can't even get on the penalty kill, right? Then the penalty kill's over. It's like, yeah, Heat'll get back out there. I can't, with it. How does Matt Rempe have more goals than Elias Pettersson in 2025?
Well, what a world we're living in, man. Speaking of goals, you want me to look at Connor Garland's stats quickly? So Connor Garland, 8 goals, 11 points in his last 31 games. He had 25 goals and 25 points in 27 games, I should say, to start the season. I don't care, man. He looked fantastic last night, and I'm thanking the fact that he named his kid Quinn, man. And who helps him get the game winner? It's Quinn freaking Hughes, man. That is, dude, they're gonna write stories about that someday, man. Okay, let's get to a couple more comments before we get out of here. Locked On Canucks. Okay, I want to touch on this quickly. So if you're watching on YouTube right now, you get to see Kyle and I's ugly mugs. A lot of people ask if I'm okay. Vance saying looks like I'm in the bathroom. GL is saying, are you sitting on the toilet? And Mother Knucker saying Begsy is in the saw room. Begsy, bark twice if you're in danger. No, man, I'm in a closet with a mirror. There's no toilet here, but there's a garbage can. So
that's it, man. That's life, man. That's life. Thanks for being transparent. And I've never podcasted on the toilet before, but I would do it for the team. I would do it. It is what it is. Sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. And technology is crazy these days. Anything is a studio, okay? Next comment. There was one about Brock Besser. Okay, Mother Knucker, like, do you just love the? Do you just like? What do you do with your life, man? You just watch every single Columbus Blue Jackets game because you just want Canucks being traded there for any Columbus Blue Jacket player. Okay.
No, Mother Knucker's a dog, man. It's because he likes the BJ.
Come on, man. Brock to Columbus for Cole Sillinger in a second-round pick. I could see something like that.
I'm honestly not a huge fan of Cole Sillinger's game. I think I've said that before on this podcast, but he's a guy who's kind of middling offensively. I don't think he's great defensively. Like, sure, he's young. Sure, he's a high draft pick, but I feel like that was a situation where he got rushed to the NHL, and he's kind of been mediocre ever since. So I know he's got size, and Mother Knucker, he likes his guys with size. Surprised he didn't mention Matthew Olivier in that trade. The Blue Jackets have assets, but like Sillinger in a second, I mean, that's fair value for Besser. I'm just not a huge fan of it personally.
That's why I said it was interesting because I feel like that might be it. You know, it's kind of like Tyler Toffoli-esque. Okay, it is what it is. Okay, next comment. I like the specifics of this comment right here. Okay, it says this comes from Adam Spitting Science again. I guess you're a scientist. Besser isn't performing because he thrives in front of the net. We're not getting a ton of shots on net. And, you know, that's where Besser produces. I think that's actually a good connection because Brock Besser's kind of turned into that player over the last, like, 400 to 500 days. And it's cool and all, but that's exactly another reason why I wouldn't give this guy 8 years. You know? Like, I wouldn't because we need play drivers. And the Brock Besser that we fell in love with, let's be honest, good guy, great guy, been through a lot, emotional guy. He's been through everything with the Canucks as well. And you know what? I was about to use the word persevere. He didn't persevere. He forgave the Canucks, you know? Like he's like, you know what? Like I'm a Canuck for life. Like I'm back on board. Let's do this. He was our best player in the playoffs last year too, offensively speaking. Actually, just in general, he was our best player in the playoffs last year before he got hurt. That's actually an easy thing to say. He was better than Quinn Hughes last year in the playoffs, okay?
Yeah.
So I have a lot of love for him, but previous to all of that, the Brock Besser that we fell in love with was the exciting Brock Besser. Him one bar down. Him being a threat as a one-timer option. Those things are gone. He's not that guy anymore. Maybe he is deep down, but with the Canucks or like however he's playing, like we don't see that version of Brock. Yeah. And that's who I'm signing to an 8-year deal. Like to me, that's a legit, all goals are the same at the end of the day. But I believe in that guy getting to 30 to 40 every year and not the Brock that we kind of see for the most part, which is a smart player, does his thing, he's in the right place. But yeah, just not special, you know?
Yeah, and I think the playoff thing is something that we forget about kind of easily. Like he was really good for this team in the playoffs, but yeah, the consistency just doesn't seem to be there with Brock. And look, the Canuck fan of me wants to believe that Petey and Besser just saved him for the playoffs, but in reality, it's like you need to perform now to make the playoffs, and they are not performing. Hopefully, they perform tonight. I'm giving the last comments here to Gigatronic Hot Tub Postcast. This one hit me because I have a hot tub at my house. Yeah. I'm a renter, and my hot tub doesn't work, man. So I could sit in there with the slugs, but it's not quite what I want it to be, you know?
Yeah. I offered to help you clean it up. That's like a 30-year-old thing to do. And you just said no because you're lazy and the second best dad in the world. Okay. Not number one. Okay. Anyways, Kyle Bound, Trevor Beggs. That was another episode of Locked On Canucks. Hit the like button. Trevor, tomorrow or maybe like down the road near the trade deadline, one thing I want to do is ask you, like, should the Canucks trade for Josh Norris or Timo Meier?
All right. That's coming up on another episode of Locked On Canucks. For now, we got to get out of here. So shout out to you and you, whether you're an everydayer, an occasional listener, a first-time listener, or a new subscriber, wherever you are, whenever you're listening. We appreciate the hell out of you for tuning in to Locked On Canucks. If you like what we're doing, go subscribe and like on YouTube on the podcast side. Go follow us and leave a 5-star review. And if you're a business owner or you know someone looking to advertise and you want to make me your biatch, come touch base with us and I'll say whatever you want for an ad spot on the show. We should be back on the postcast tonight, but for now, we got to get out of here. I'm Trevor Beggs. That guy's Cal Bound, and you've been listening to Locked On Canucks.
You're Locked On Canucks, your daily podcast on the Vancouver Canucks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.